Happy Friday, everybody, and welcome into Leading Off right here on Fantasy Pros. I'm Chris Welsh. That is KC Bubba back in the house. We lost our Bubba for a little bit, but we got him back. We're going to be talking today about some two-start pitchers for next week. Obviously, all the goings and happenings around the baseball and some best bets. We always do that. Bubba, what's up, buddy? Good to have you back. It was a little dicey there, but some things off air that you need to deal with. Nothing crazy, but glad to have you back in the seat.
Yeah, glad to be back. Glad the crew got to hold it down for me. It's a fun group we got here, and everything's taken care of, and we're back and ready to roll. So baseball, we're coming towards the end here, Welsh. So we gotta finish strong for the listeners out there.
Well, we're going to try to finish it strong. And Leading Off is brought to you by Bet365, finishing it super strong. Bet $5, get $150 in bonus bets when you use the promo code Leading Off. Promo code Leading Off, $5 for $150 in bonus bets. Download the Bet365 app today. You can even go to Betting Pros and check out all of the great odds we've got on games, our picks, props, and everything, and then you can put it into action over at Bet365. Again, promo code Leading Off, Bet5, get $150 in bonus bets. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-BETS-OFF or 1-800-GAMBLER. Bubba rocking the Javelinas. I almost forgot the name there for a second. The Wild Pigs, the AFL. By the way, AFL schedule a little bit more officially released. We were talking about this off air, kind of getting the planning and everything like that scheduled out. So I should be seeing Bubba in roughly month and a half.
Yeah,
month.
Over a month. Yeah.
I'll
be November 1st, so about 5 weeks.
Beautiful. So I'm going to be seeing the whole baseball industry is going to be barreling down here in Arizona, and probably have some off-season content for you guys there. But let's kick it into action. Let's kind of get started here. And let's talk about Corbin Burns. Yesterday, Corbin Burns did not have a great outing. Allowed 6 runs, 5 earned in 5 2/3. Took the loss against the Astros. He gave up 8 hits. He had a couple walks, no strikeouts. Our buddy Eric Cross tweeted this out, and this has been kind of the mantra for Corbin Burns right now. Over his last 4 starts, Burns has 20 2/3 of an innings pitch, has given up 29 hits, 20 earned runs. He's given up 20 earned runs in 20 innings pitched, walked 7, only struck out 18, has an 8.71 ERA and a 1.74 whip. Corbin Burns is disastrous right now. The question, what do you do? This is tough because this is big Corbin Burns. Is there an application to the rest of this season? And then what effect does this have on next year?
For the rest of the season, you basically play matchups. He's not an auto start. It's kind of the Kevin Gausman syndrome right here. Burns was already lacking in strikeouts compared to the Burns we've seen in previous seasons, and now the contact is catching up to him. But you can't really drop him right now, but you can't auto start him, is what it comes down to with Corbin Burns. Going forward, I've always been kind of skeptical on Burns. If he falls in drafts, I'm interested, but he's not an ace anymore. He's a good SP2 in fantasy. I need strikeout upside from an ace, and Corbin Burns does not have that right now.
It's pretty brutal, too. This was right at the beginning of the season. This is one of my Cy Young guys. I really thought it was going to be there, and he was kind of lighting it up very early on, but it has fallen apart. He had a 2.43 ERA. But by the way, I just want to point out, I think we might be a little dramatic about him. He is not an ace anymore. He had a 2.43 ERA in the first half of the season, over 100 innings pitched. He had a barely 1 whip, 1.04, 9-4 record. Was pretty solid. But in 7 starts in the post All-Star break, 5.75 ERA, a 1.38 whip. He's completely fallen apart. And you can't really even identify either, because home and away, he's got about the same ERA. He's giving up a lot more on base at home. He's got a 0.96 whip on the road, a 1.29 at home. But I'm not really sure there's anything identifiable about it. But yeah, at this point, and JJ actually is bringing this up, we have a couple of these top 20 SPs that have turned into matchup-based guys. Crochet and Burns are guys that you really have to pay a little bit more attention to, and it's really brutal for Burns.
Yeah, it's really brutal for Burns. Like I said, the only reason I say he's not an ace is the whole season the strikeouts haven't been there, and that's, to me, the ace moniker. But I did not see this stretch coming, to be honest. But yeah, you mentioned Crochet. Tanner Houck's been horrible. There's a bunch of guys that started the year great. Either innings are going to catch up. They're whispers of Skeens and Scooble inning situations. There's a a whole thing coming up that for the fantasy final stretch can make things very, very not cool.
I mean, Luis Eel went on the IL. Like a bunch of the first half guys have had some struggles into the second half. And, it might be worth something in the offseason of really taking a look and maybe identifying that a future way to approach pitching. But the problem is you're going to have to make the right decision on the second half is just like you sell all of your good pitchers from the first half. It's not to say that guys aren't carrying over. Tarek Skubal is carrying over. Yes. And once he gets into that, like next year or something, when there's no longer innings and stuff, he'll just kind of continue going on. But, there might be something to liquidating your SP assets in redraft after the first half to some degree, making sure you're trading any of these little question mark type of players because they're all kind of backtracking. Outside of Skeens. Skeens is one, but he's got the potential innings limit. Same thing happened with Jared Jones getting hurt. At the end of the day, what it could turn into, what Zane is saying, no pitching early. But I feel like that's the mantra we've had for 3 straight years is like no one wants to take pitching early, but we're all still in this complaining spot at this point.
Yeah, we just did our two early draft champions for the 3rd straight year, did the first 11 rounds. And even after 11 rounds, there's a ton of pitching. Like Zach Gallen went in round 10.
10?
And Carlos Rodon went in round like 8 or 9. There's a lot of pitching went, don't get me wrong, but there's still like Gossman didn't get drafted, and I get it, but we're 11 rounds in, we're 165 picks in or whatever. So like there's a slew of pitchers like that still available. So the idea of waiting is kind of a being prophesized already in 2020.
Do you recall how many pitchers went in like the first 2 rounds?
If you give me 2 seconds, I can pull this picture up.
Because I'm gonna guess it's gonna be like Skeens, Skubal.
Skeens went 9th, Skubal went 12th, and then in round 2, I took Wheeler as the 3rd pitcher off the board.
Wheeler,
Burns, and Kirby. So 5 pitchers in the first 2 rounds.
Skeens was the number 1 overall pitcher taken in that.
Yep, 9th pick overall.
Wow. I mean, that says a lot. And guess what? Yesterday, we'll continue on that. Keep that up there. Skeens threw 6 shutout innings on Thursday as they beat the Reds. He gave up 2 hits, walked 1, struck out 9. It was one of those like quintessential awesome performances. 8th win of the season. He's allowed 3 runs. This is on Roto World, by the way, not mine. He allowed 3 runs or less in 16 of his 17 starts this year, and he struck out at least 8 batters in 10 of his last 14. This also was on the eve of him officially losing the consensus rookie of the year odds. Now that may have changed today. Yesterday, it was like -175 for Jackson Merrill. Were you at all surprised that Skeens was the number 1 in the next year draft? Like part of me is, and part of me is not. Like I literally said before you told me, I would expect Skeens, Skubal, and Wheeler wasn't in the top of my head. Those would be the top 3. But not only did Skeens go number 1 overall, he went in the top 10. Did that shock you at all?
No. When we did a preview show, I know some other guys that are in the league did preview shows. Some guys had him going as high as 5 or 6. I had him in the first round, and I'm not like taking Wheeler in round 2 is early for me. I'm not that early in pitching, but for that format, I just want a horse, and that's what Wheeler is. Skeens and Skubal, everyone loves them. They're going to be first rounders for the most part in at least high stakes leagues because that pitching takes a premium more in that situation. So I'm not surprised. I guess, like you said, 25% surprised, 75% not. Like it was there. Just I don't want to see him go on like top 5 like Spencer Strider. That sort of things get a little too wonky for me.
I wonder if I think I've made this comparison in different ways before, but I wonder if SPs next year are going to be similar to what running backs are in fantasy football this year, in that there is this core at the very tippy top, which are worth reaching for. And then it's like, just wait and wait. And when I say wait. And I wonder if that's what it's going to be like between getting Skubal, getting Skeens, getting Wheeler. And that might be it, because I'm not even sure you would feel compelled. I think Burns will take a hit from this. I'm not sure if even Kirby stays into that territory. Cole Reagan's maybe being undervalued, but I wonder if it's like those 3, and then it's just like poof. And because like if the narrative, even in the chat, is like, avoid SPs and don't draft SPs, but then 2 are going in like the top 12, it might be that everyone is going to hoard that very top end, but nothing else is trustworthy. Chris Sale probably belongs in that conversation in redraft, maybe just for age, but I wonder if it'll mirror the RBs a little bit.
Yeah, I could see that. Sale went 10th pick in round 3, so 310. That like in round 3 and 4, we saw 10 starting pitchers go in those 30 picks and like 7 closers. So between rounds 3 and 7, over half the picks were either a starter or a closer. So guys went top end hitting, it seems like, and then loaded up pitching after that. And again, this is way too early. A lot's going to change by 2025.
It is, but also that's like that's kind of like I think that's like a standard approach of what people want to take. It's like, hey, give me 3 core bats, and then I'll start 4 or 5. I guess you said, what did you say? Round 4 through 7 or 6 through
3 through 7 was a heavy pitcher, like probably a 50-50 pitcher hitter situation.
Give me 2 or 3 like core hitters, and then I'm willing to get in on the pitching market, right?
Yeah. This is the 3rd year of this league. I won the first year. This year I'm 5th right now. I went 4 straight hitters, and then I went 3 straight pitchers in the first 7 rounds. Last year, I had Acuna number 1, so you know how that went. But yeah, it's an interesting philosophy to see where it goes. But I will say, what's funny about this is the first time we did this league, out of all the draft champions leagues, we finished like top 10th as a league, like cumulative points wise, which was pretty entertaining for, basically drawing blind in August.
Yeah, that is actually pretty funny. I mean, it's a weird thing because we're in this space where obviously we're wanting to finish out hard and everything, but like we're also kind of taking our eyes and starting to look to next year and talking about.
We get so many questions. You know how it is. We get so many 2025 questions already. And
yeah,
it's like we still got 4 weeks, guys. Like just wait a minute.
No, well, I'm already kind of like thinking about like my approach and some of my off-season work because I want to do it like sooner than I've ever done it before to maybe take advantage of some like best ball stuff early on.
Yep,
so yeah, it's just very interesting. Those guys have kind of flip-flopped where I think Burns is on a big downtick and Paul Skeens is on the biggest up number 1 SP in baseball already being drafted and kind of back at it. And we'll see, if they made another comment about the potential innings cap, and we'll see, as in like they don't have any plans for it, but I kind of feel like they're just going to drop the hammer when they do. They're not going to lead us up to it. They're just this is it. And I'm the only person like on the planet apparently that cares about the Jackson Merrill thing because I have a live rookie bet plus 1,700 on.
I'm pumped for you. Like I know we've talked about on the show a while back, and every time he has a big night, when I do some other podcasts, I mention it like right away. I'm like, hey, he's still plus money. Like it's like, think about it, folks.
I know it's still out there, but he's minus like 175.
Not anymore. You had your chance.
Trying to cash that baby. Jacob deGrom. He is back, at least in the minors. He struck out 3, allowed 1 run over 2 innings on Thursday in his first minor league rehab assignment. He went over to Double-A Frisco. And as noted, his stuff looked pretty good. He was sitting up into the upper 90s as he returns from Tommy John. He even hit triple digits. The plan is 4 minor league starts, as it said, and then he would come back. So if we start doing the math, we've got 1 more in August. We'll get probably 2 in September. And then that leads to most likely not having any real awesome effect. It's looking like for fantasy, but maybe into your playoffs. Like there's a possibility if you get into like a second round of the playoffs, he would be out there. I guess the question would be, would you have the cojones to start Jacob deGrom if he gets into a start, you're in the playoffs? Let's say it's like a Thursday, Friday, it's right towards the end. And let's say it's like I'd probably have to look at the Rangers matchup right now, but like call it like an Astros. The Astros are out there. Would you start a deGrom coming off of the injury versus an Astros type of team?
No. Not at all. He'd have to be so lights out in these 4 rehab starts. I think all the Rangers want to see here is, can he put a couple games together, get him ready for 2025? And that's what I'm looking for. Like, hey, can he finish the season healthy and we can move into next season? And I'm a fan of that. I'm just going to sit back and watch it, and as a baseball fan, hope he does well. But for fantasy, I am not touching Jacob.
Did he go in the top 10 rounds of what you did?
Yes, he did.
Oh, he did. He did.
Somebody did. He took chances on like 3 guys bouncing back next year, thinking he's going to get at least 2 out of 3 to become aces again. So yes,
it's not the worst bet on the planet. That
it's a 50 round draft, so you can come back and just get a bunch of boring like guys to backfill just in case. Like it's a strategy that could work.
He's the type of guy I'm going to fall for next year because
Oh, yeah.
he's not going to cost old Jacob deGrom numbers. He'll come back a little bit. There's a chance the value could be a little bit like we're a little bit squirmy or like, oh, but I think there's a decent shot that you don't see deGrom inside the top 30, top 35 of SPs. I think there's a shot at it.
I disagree.
You think he's going to crush into
I
it?
think if he finishes this season like deGrom, and then all it takes is like one spring outing, the dude's back to a top 15,
Okay.
top 10 starting pitcher. People are buying that in a heartbeat.
Okay, no. You're not wrong about that. But I think the difference for what his January value is to what his
100%
I've just
there.
pitched 2 good outings in spring value,
Yes.
those are different. So if you do some early drafts in January, February, mid-February, you can probably still get the really good value. Totally agree. He goes out there, hits triple digits. I'm out at camp taking pictures of him and Greg Maddux again. People are losing their mind. And then all of a sudden, deGrom is back into the top 20. Very reasonable.
No, and that's why a bunch of us are degenerates when we start drafting in December and January to get those type of values because we know there's not a chance I'm getting them in March.
I've never done the first pitch November draft. I feel like I kind of want to this year.
Sign up for it. Saturday night. It's going to be popping.
Okay. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll do one of those Saturday ones. It'll be fun. But, I love my games. I love my AFL games with the prospects. And sometimes that's interview time. All right. A couple other pieces here. Spencer Schwellenbach, another pitcher that is on a high rise. I know a lot of pitching stuff here. Allowed 2 runs, 6 2/3 inning on Thursday. Bunch of strikeouts. Gave up 3 hits. Only walked 1. He had 18 consecutive batters. He had retired at one point. And so far over his last 8 starts, 2.84 ERA. Yeah, 2.84 ERA, 62 strikeouts in around 50 innings. And he looks like this is one of those guys where Joe Pisapia, who has left us and is not paying attention, they're not going to catch up to how good Spencer Schwellenbach really was. You'll see some numbers and you'll get excited there, but actually physically watching him, it's an opportunity that people are going to miss out on the hype. The hype that's going to follow him as probably like a top 5. I would say a top 5 breakout pitcher for next year because he's having a good year this year. What are your thoughts on Schwellenbach?
Love him. Absolutely love him. And I'll be the first to admit that I was skeptical when he first got called up. So a lot of pitch to contact skills, and that always scares me for fantasy, but that has shifted dramatically. Strikeouts in bunches. I love what we're seeing here. He went in the first 11 rounds in our draft, so people were in on him there. But these are guys that pay attention to like Joe Pisapia. So you are correct there. I'm a big fan of Schwellenbach. So I think this is legit. And the Braves need him because that rotation is sketchy.
Makes me think of the old Adam Sandler bit. Oh, honey, pull out your Schwellenbach and show him to mommy. You're Schwellenbach. You're Schwellenbach.
You're Schwellenbach.
A lot of Adam Sandler. Rest of season. All right, let me phrase it differently. Would you drop Garrett Crochet for Spencer Schwellenbach?
Definitely. I said in most leagues, especially heads to heads, Crochet is not helping because he can't get you wins. Like you need the points the wins come with. So I would take Schwellenbach in a heartbeat.
That's I mean, it's going to be one of those value guys. Just be on the lookout for it. And then finally, it's a little bit old hat news here because we have the spacing between the show days. But the Mariners fired Scott Service. Seattle also they fired their hitting coach Jared DeHart. Service was with the team since 2016. Had a 680 to 642 record, a little bit over 500. I noted this on ITL yesterday. Just a little part of me, I felt like he was losing connection with that team. Being like, I would go to the camp, 10 times in spring. I'd be there a lot, and you just see sometimes you see managers really connected in with their players. Maybe that just wasn't quite there. I think the roster is kind of moving over into the type of talent they had. Maybe he just didn't speak to it, but it was kind of odd, like in what they have been battling for in an over 500 manager. They just boop. Scott Service out, and I think it was Dan Wilson is taking over for right now. I don't know if you had any thoughts on the Mariners in general or Service being fired.
No, team's been horrible since the break, and I just hope someone wrote a headline that said, "Thanks for your service. You were close to DeHart."
And did they say thanks for your SERVAIS when they said it?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's very good.
I had to get my dad joke out there. It was pretty.
That was very, very good. Hey, 2-star pitchers for next week. It's a Friday show. I've got 4 options. Well, I'm actually going to throw out one. There's not really an option. I went through Fantasy Pros has got it. CBS's is a really good version to take a look at as well because it'll show CBS ownership. The reason I like to do that, as I've mentioned a ton, is I think CBS is one of the best representations of active player leagues because, hey, listen, I look at ownership sometimes. I mean, ESPN is a laughable joke on their ownership of players. And then even like we will use like ESPN versus Yahoo and the numbers just look low. Like, dude, Zach Neto's under 50% owned between ESPN and Yahoo right now. Yeah. That's embarrassing. That's absolutely embarrassing.
I use Yahoo for my fantasy article for Fantasy Pros, and I'm always just like, how in the... I feel bad writing up certain players. Like, this should not even be an option.
Well, Yahoo is the good middleman. Like ESPN is like LOL, and then CBS is hyper active because you'll see pitchers that are just getting a 2-start that'll go up to like 70% ownership in CBS that are like 14% owned somewhere else. So the middle ground. But in this regard, taking a look and using the ownership for CBS, here's some 2-start pitchers next week that I think could be potential viable options, or at least from an ownership standpoint. Now, I just want to get your take on it. But the first one is not. He's not going to be available unless, you just cut Garrett Crochet for him. I just wanted to ask you, though, Spencer Schwellenbach next week is lined up in the 2-start. I don't know if he'll quite get it. I think they're doing it because he could line up on Tuesday and then get a Sunday start. But if he did, he'd be lining up to go at Minnesota and at Philly. So I just wanted to ask, has he gotten to the point where it doesn't matter to you and you would just do it? Because those are two relatively tough road matchups. Would that be a no-brainer for you for both starts?
Yeah, no, he's locked in. He's pretty much pitching every time out there for me right now in fantasy, unless something really strange is going on.
All right, so let's see. This is going to be a yay or nay on these 2-start pitchers if you like it. He's got a 59% ownership on CBS, so it is quite a bit lower everywhere else. Next week, Kyle Gibson has got 2 starts. He is at home against San Diego and on the road at New York. But as far as availability goes, the pitchers you can really put out there, he's probably one of the highest owned potential available guys, but those are 2 rough matchups. So yay or nay on Kyle Gibson 2-start?
I'm going to say nay unless you're in a deep league that just needs counting stats. I'm going to say nay.
All right. I know I would want to say yay, but I also can't. This one, I don't mean to lead the witness here, but in the yay or nay, this is actually my favorite of next week that I think is wildly available, has high strikeout upside, but it's very risky. Edward Cabrera is at Colorado. Yep. Oh my God, that's terrifying. But Colorado, that's 8 strikeouts given essentially. And then in San Francisco, or no, at home against San Francisco. Either way, it'd actually be better if it was in San Francisco from a hitting environment. But Rockies and Giants, just the danger is it's in Colorado. 31% ownership. He is wildly available. If you're chasing strikeouts, I mean, that's kind of the way I'm putting it. But it could really hurt your ratios. What do you say about Edward Cabrera? Yay or nay?
I'm going to say yay and just don't watch the Rockies start. But ratios could get bad, but strikeouts could be there for days. The Rockies are horrific right now. Like I was looking at their splits last night. So bad.
Go look at Jordan Montgomery's game log and then realize that he struck out 8 Colorado Rockies the other day. So that they're horrible. And then the Giants are a good team, but I don't know. I think that could be a decent one with Edward Cabrera. And then this one might have the best matchup. The best matchup of all is Andrew Heaney, who is 32% owned in CBS leagues. That's it. We're going to be wildly available everywhere else. Next week is going to Chicago for the White Sox and then at home versus the A's. I think Andrew Heaney might be the number 1 2-start pitcher for next week, but what say you?
Yep, he is the best streaming 2-start option this week. We've seen J.P. Sears in recent week. That paid off. Paul Blackburn was a 50-50, good and a bad. This is the same tier. There's always one pitcher a week. It feels like Andrew Heaney is that pitcher this week. He should be added pretty much everywhere, and you just pray that you don't get screwed over on this one.
100%. All right, 3 up and 3 down. My boy, Justin Steele. Might see Justin Steele here soon. 7 innings, 10 strikeouts. Miguel Amaya, 3 for 5, a homer with 5 RBI. Really good hit day. Maybe one of those available hitters out there as far as catchers go. Joey Bart has been like the one we've been talking about the most, but Amaya with a big 5 RBI game. And then we had mentioned Spencer Schwellenbach had the 9 strikeouts in 6 2/3 inning yesterday. On the 3 down, Kenta Maeda, 5 innings, 9 hits, 6 earned runs. Kenta Maeda. Nick Lodolo, 4 2/3, 5 earned runs, walked 3, struck out 9 though. And Francisco Alvarez, 0 for 5 with 4 strikeouts. It's a bad day. Bad day. Before we move on, Richard Silva is having a heart attack and complaining we're only talking about pitchers. How about let's answer one for him so he doesn't freak out and hate us. Rest of season rank: Tolia, Urias, Lau, Clement, Torkelson, Will Wagner. How about let's rank 2 or 3, not 12. Yeah. But what do you say here?
My top ones. 3. Top ones. Give me Lau. Give me Torque. And Toglia for power if you just want kind of a boring floor Wagner.
Give me Lau and then Torkelson. I don't care about the rest. That would be the easy one. That's fair. All right. Now calm down. We're running the show.
Easy, here. Tiger.
Easy, buddy. You're on 3rd Street. All right. Injuries. Fernando Tatis Jr. is apparently progressing by sprinting. He did that on Thursday.
70%.
Yeah. Mike Schilt confirmed that he's on track to return at some point in September. Yeah. What? The 30th?
So am I.
Like, okay. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. I was so wrong in taking the narrative of what they said around the All-Star break or trade deadline, wherever the hell it was, and thinking, oh, he's going to play. It's going to be great. Yeah. No, he's never going to play. They don't want him to play. I don't know what they're doing. 70%. Maybe they'll skip a rehab assignment and he'll just come up to the majors. I think that's a possibility. They say in September. I don't feel super great about it, but you can't do anything about it. Jazz Chisholm is likely to return for Friday series opener against the Rockies. So today, I guess, is what they're saying.
He was activated about 5 minutes before the show.
Was he? Okay, cool. So Jazz Chisholm back in it. That's very good news. Blue Jays manager John Schneider told reporters that Bo Bichette has progressed to running without limitations. So lots of sprinting and running updates, no hitting or playing for any of these guys, which is brutal. And then the Reds, they placed Jake Fraley on a 10-day IL. Man, do you remember in the preseason when we were like, what are the Reds going to do? They're so stacked with so many hitters. They don't have enough positions for players. And all they have been doing is just picking up little pieces off the wire, and nothing's working out for them. They just picked up Dom Smith because they lost Jamer Candelario.
Yeah, it's wild. They had too many pieces early. Like you said, then McClain goes down, Candelario, yada, yada, yada. Even Noelvi Marte comes back, and they still can't field the team. It's wild.
Stinks. Noelvi Marte.
Garbage.
Stinks. Garbage. Awful. Ugh. All right, let's change the tone here. Let's talk about some bets for the day, as we do our best bets of the day here for Friday with not Joey P. That is KC Bubba and the Welsh. Our best bets on Friday, brought to you by Bet365, and of course, Betting Pros. Bubba, you and I were talking off air. It's a weird day in that just like you look and you don't love anything. All the games are there. Nothing is priced great. All the strikeouts are overpriced. The lines are really tough. It's just one of those days. You get those, hand up. Baseball betting does just get tougher as the year goes on. And you get these days where everything looks tight, dude. I mean, the hit, run, and RBIs get pushed to 2.5. Sometimes they're not plus money. There's just not a lot of great stuff today. So you got to get creative. So what did you end up falling in love with, or at least, falling in like with for some bets?
Yeah, as people know, I like my prop bets, I like my plus money. So here's what we got here. This one I actually like a lot, and it came in big. Lawrence Butler over 1.5 total bases at plus 150. A's have a really nice matchup. Butler's kind of getting back on track the last couple of games, so I'll take his leading off at over 1.5. Parker Meadows leading off, swinging it well as well. He's over 1.5 plus 125 total bases against Chris Flexen, so I like that quite a bit. And then the Royals have a great matchup for this guy named Taijuan Walker. So give me Vinny Pasquantino, who's been crushing it, over 1.5 total bases at plus 100. So yeah, 3 plus odds. Rough day overall, because it's not just the over 2.5s aren't offered. Most of them are just like 1.5s at minus number, like minus one. Like Bobby Witt's numbers were insane.
Dude, that's so funny you said that. I went to Bobby Witt today and I said, you know what? I'll take 2.5 hit 100%. Run in RBI. I'll take it. Except it was minus money. It wasn't even
like minus 160 or something. I was like, good Lord.
If you're going to push, if 1.5 hit run in RBI, I'm used to being like minus money. If you're going to push me to 2.5, I got to get plus money. what are we doing here? And it's minus money, so you couldn't even bet it. So the inverse is like, well, you could just bet the under, and it's like, I'm not going to bet the under on that.
I enjoy watching baseball.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can bet under, so like it's a good bet, but like that's not what I want to play. So that's like this version of what we're talking about, where it's like really rough. Carlos Rodon's K numbers 8.5 today.
Yeah,
like that's where it starts. So it's a
that.
really rough, tight day. So it's picking and poking and trying to find some different spots here. You guys know me. I try to find myself into some nerfies. I don't like any today. There was one I almost put on here, but I just kind of shied away from it. It was a minus 135. You guys can go see if you can figure out who it was. But for me, I do have some player prop stuff. I don't like any of the strikeouts for what they are, but there's one that I could mess around with, but what I decided to do was try to get some plus money value. Something I've done from time to time is I pare down, give me 2 starting pitchers that I really like that have kind of tightish numbers, and then I pare them down by 1, put them together. It's risky, of course. Dude, Wednesday, I would have been 3 for 3, except my money line parlay, the Cubs did not finish it off, so that didn't cash. So, it's dangerous to do these. But for today, I've got a 2-pitcher, 5+ strikeout parlay. It's Ryan Nelson, who has been an absolute strikeout monster all season long. Red Sox averaging around 24% K percentage over the last 30 days. And I'm going with Hunter Brown. Give me both of them alternative at 5 strikeouts comboed. And I got plus 140. That's not bad on the
Pretty
odds.
good.
Both for just 5 strikeouts. Hunter Brown has been really good on that strikeout front. I believe the 25 to 27% K percentage on the year. And Ryan Nelson has obviously been dominant on that as of recent. So that was the best thing I could find for strikeouts. My favorite hitting prop today was Francisco Lindor total bases. It's actually at plus 130. I believe he's going up against Joe Musgrove. Yep, and from a BVP standpoint, hits over 300 against Musgrove and has quite a few extra base hits. So I'm going to side on Francisco Lindor on the total bases with a plus 130. That's one of my favorites of today. And then finally, did I hemmed and hawed about this one? I really didn't want to go there, but I ended up settling because I really do feel it. I love plus money run lines. This is not, but Atlanta today going up against Washington. Chris Sale is on the mound. I'm taking their run line minus 1.5. It's minus 122, which I don't like. You guys can go and shop around. Of course, I highly suggest you do your bets, though, on Bet365, usually with the best lines. But I'm going to take that because I really love the matchup, and I love backing Chris Sale when I can. The Nerfy wasn't in play. So Atlanta run line minus 1.5. So I've got Ryan Nelson, Hunter Brown, K prop at 5, Francisco Lindor total bases, and Atlanta run line. We have got for Bubba, Lawrence Butler, Parker Meadows, and Vinny Pasquantino all over 1.5 total bases, all for plus money, which is pretty impressive as well. And friends, those are our best bets of the day, brought to you by Bet365 and the Betting Pros. All right, Bubba, on the home runs, I did not receive a home run board today, but I don't think I made it on, so I'm not really upset about it. So if I had made it on, I would be really crazy. Bubba, you froze. I was just about to start doing a fake Bubba. I was like, "Uh-oh, are you there?"
You were sounding sketchy to me, and I saw my thing circle. I'm like, "Oh God, we almost made it."
Yeah. We almost had it. I think it was you, but if not, no one knew what I just said. But on the home run call, I don't have a home run board today, so I don't have an update. But we will do it on Monday, which hopefully this is my opportunity. I was 1 away from getting on the home run board. I'm going to try to do it this weekend. So Monday we can get me on that board. And as Donnie said, Donnie is ready to have he's going to celebrate with a cannoli party if I make it. So he's going to bring cannolis over to the studio. So what do you got for your home run bet for the day?
I'm going to be real lazy with this one, but Kyle Freeland's pitching for Colorado. Give me Aaron Judge to go to town. I usually try to be simple. Like his over half a home run today was like less than plus 200. So I'll take Aaron Judge.
That's right. Aaron Judge is to homer betting as Ellie De La Cruz is to stolen base betting. Like in no world should a guy to steal a stolen base be plus 120. Like it should never be like that, but it is with Ellie. Same thing kind of goes with Aaron Judge. We do have an update. Look at this, Fred Dinger. South African G is at 49. B Trot is at 48. So that's how tight this board is at the very tippy top. I am going to go, I think I did this part of the week or whatever. I'm going Vlad Jr. I'm going to go back to Vlad Jr. It's a really good matchup, pitching matchup against a 16. I think it's a 16%. Who do they have today? It's the Angel.
Whatever his name is.
Yeah, and he's got like a 16% home run to fly ball ratio. So I'm going to go with Vlad Jr. to get me 2 today and get me on the board.
Like it.
And get me back. Cannoli party next week, where we'll party with you guys. We're going to end out August. Have some updates for September. There's still 3 shows in September, of course, but we'll get you some updates on what's going to be going down here and leading off in September and all the rest, getting you guys prepped for your playoffs. What are you laughing at?
Nothing. I'll tell you later.
Okay. All right. There you go. Bubba, you can find him at BD Intric. Plus, where are you going to be posting some content, or did you just do some content on Bubba and the Bloom for that draft you guys just did?
Tuesday night, we did the preview show. Every Thursday, we do a fad preview for the week. So we're going to recap it on Tuesday next week, recap the draft, but there's going to be content everywhere. James Anderson's already put an article out. I'll be on a couple shows coming up here talking about it, so I'll be all over the place.
All right, cool. That'll be fun to kind of follow. We're just about in the time. I usually like to do that into September, but this is a real draft, so that's why it's really a cool thing. But we will definitely be doing some of that and tons of stuff in the off season. Find me at Is It the Welsh, and make sure you're locked in as well, because we got some cool updates for next week that you guys are going to want to hear about, a baseball related thing that could maybe fly over to the other side of the sports. So make sure you're locked in. Have a fantastic weekend. Talk to you next time right here on Leading Off. Peace out, friends. Bye-bye.